Well, good morning from a very dank, dismal allotment. Storm Babette has certainly put a little bit of water down, as you can see. We're quite fortunate here in West Yorkshire. I don't think we got the brunt of it. I think people up in the northeast of the UK and certainly the northeast of Scotland had it really, really bad. I've got absolutely water oozing in from this path here, and I think the problem is with that is my plot neighbour has lined it, but I think he's lined it with plastic, so I think the water's just running straight over it and onto this and not soaking away. I mean, it floods anyway, but I think we might have to look at maybe putting a membrane down that allows the water to go through. Anyway, the plan today was to come down and sow my garlic, but the bed, I wanted to prep it first, you know, get the last few weeds out, just give it a rake over, get it down to a nice tilth, but it's too wet for that. One of the things that I've got to do, irregardless of it being wet, is those last 2 rows of potatoes. I'm going to have to get those out. So let's go across there and see how they've gone on. So here I am in between the 2 last rows of potatoes. You normally have to stay off the soil when it's as wet as this, but I can't leave these down too much longer because I don't want them to rot off and I don't want them worms getting in there and destroying them. So let's have a look. Let's see how we've gone on. Right, my daughter's still not brought my fork back, so a spade is going to have to do. Oh, this is soaking, absolutely soaking. You know what? There we go. Let's have a look. Oh. Soaking, but it's a bit of mud. It just needs clearing off. They don't seem to be. There we go. There we are. That's what you get for using a spade. Kirsty, you owe me a potato. So yeah, this is going to be quite a messy job. These are Kerry's Pink variety, a main crop, so I'm going to crack on getting these out. I'll come back to you at the end when we've done that. So there we go, that's 8 plants, and that's quite a large tub. What I tend to do is just try and get the excess off by just simply filling it with water, letting it drain through, and then what I do is I tip it out into exactly the same size pot and do the bottom, and then I just leave them in the shed to dry rather than leaving all that gunk on them. Well, I say it, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Growing potatoes is hard graft. By the time I get back to those to put them in the shed, they'll have cleaned off. Obviously there's drain holes in the bottom and it just drains away nice and slowly, taking the majority of the mud with it. So while the potatoes are self-cleaning outside, I thought I might as well get in and start and get my overwintering onions started off. Now a lot of people put theirs directly out into the soil in the location that they're going to grow, but I prefer to get them going in a modular tray. It's just something that I've done all the time. I like to see a really good root ball on them, and then I I plant them out probably around back end of November, by which time they should have shooted, and they should get underway quite well. I'm going to give this Miracle Grow peat free multi-purpose compost a try. It were on offer at the garden centre, 3 for a tenner, so I thought give it a go. So the onions that I am going to plant up are Shen Shu. I think that's the pronunciation of it. Shen Shu. I've also got some overwintering Germo. So I'm going to crack on and get those in the pots. Let's start with the shallots first. Just got to make sure that you check that none of these are rotten or soft, because they just won't take. But that's quite a big bulb. Quite a big bulb is that. So I'll just simply bob them in the tray. I will continue to do that. I'll do the same. That's split, so I'll do them as 2 separate bulbs. I'll continue to do that with the onions. Once I've done that, I'm going to take you down to the bottom of the loading bay. Let's see some. There we go. That's all the overwintering onions and shallots sorted. I'll give them a water and then they'll stay in here for around about a month until they get some nice shoots, and then I'll plant them in the growing location. Okay, let's go down to the loading bay. So as you can see, I've got the black gold delivered, as I call it, the leaf mould. That arrived the other day, so I've dropped that in the loading bay. I posed a question about the compost bins, as opposed to using the compost bays, and I got quite a large reaction really from the viewers, and it seems the majority of people seem to think that the loading bays are much better, simply because you can turn them and you can move them from the other and just easier to use. They get a lot more heat in them, so I think that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to take your advice on board and I'm going to do that. Now what I'm going to do, the Grapevine Garden, Danny said to me that if you're going to use compost bays, you've got to make sure that you put them in an area where they get as much sun as they possibly can. Now I was going to put them behind the behind the log store, but to be totally honest with you, probably within 3 hours in the summer, the sun's gone by that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this leaf mould up onto the front plot and put in its position, and I'm going to put 3 bays in that place, and that's where the compost bays are going to be. And then what I'm going to do, I'll just spin you around, is in that corner over here, I'm going to make a right angled loading bay. So I'm going to back that side off there and back that side off there, and then they can simply come in, reverse and drop whatever it is I'm getting delivered into there. And what I'm going to do with these bins, I'm probably just going to give them away, to be totally honest with you. So that's another job on the list. So yeah, thank you very much for those comments. They were really helpful, and especially Danny. I wouldn't have thought of that. I was going to stick them at the back here, and the majority of the time they would have been in the shade. So thanks for that. Right, I'm going to get myself off because I've got a funny feeling Storm Babette is not finished with. So I'm going to just finish off in the greenhouse, get things put away and get myself away before the rain comes again. So I hope you're all looking after yourself. I hope you all have a great weekend, thank you very much for all those new subscribers. It's really, really much appreciated. And I noticed on some of the analytics, I get 50% of the people that watch these videos don't subscribe. So if you're one of those, click that button. It'd be gratefully received. Right guys, I'm on my way. Have a great weekend. Take care and happy growing.